Hey y'all, let's cover exam 3 overview video. So the first one is if f of x is a linear function, f of negative 4 is equal to negative 5, and f of negative 3 is equal to 3. Find the slope between the two ordered pairs. Now, I discussed this on the review to make sure that you understand that this is negative 4, negative 5, and that this is negative 3, 3. Most of you did very good with that as far as remembering it. Please label, because there were some mistakes on this, please take the time to label your points. And then also make sure that you have the formula that you need for it. And for the slope, it's the same thing as the rate of change. Y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. You won't need this for your final. It's going to be on your the notes that I give you for the exam, because you will have a formula sheet. So let's find the slope. M is equal to y sub 2 is 3 minus y sub 1 is negative 5 over x sub 2 is negative 3 minus x sub 1 is negative 4. Many of you flip them. This is why I said make sure you have it and access your, support yourself as much as you can. Negative 3 plus 4. All right, 5 plus 3 is 8. See if I can write the number 8. Negative 3 plus 4 is 1, so your slope is 8. Is the line increasing or decreasing? The line is increasing because the slope is positive. The next one is find the equation of the line. So you can use either one of the 2 points along with the slope. I'm just going to use y equals mx plus b. I'm going to let y equal 3. M is 8, x is negative 3 plus b, and we just need to solve for our y-intercept. 3 is equal to negative 24 plus b. Add 24 to both sides, and your y-intercept is 27. So f of x, because that's where we're at right now, not y, f of x is 8x plus 27. As you're going through this, if there's any questions you have, put them over to the side so you can make sure and ask me after class on one of the days, just to make sure you understand everything going into the final. Given the graph, assume it continues in both directions, so that means there's arrows. What is the equation of the graph? Well, it's crossing the y-axis, so it's y equals negative 2, but we're going to use f of x instead. I didn't count points off for this, but you need to know that moving forward, if you're going to pre-calc, you should understand that. What is the slope of the line? Well, remember it's rise over run. There's no rise happening, so 0, but we've got lots of run happening. So that means the slope is 0. In 2003, the Jayhawk population in the local park was measured to be 340. By 2007, the population was measured again to be 285. The population changes linearly. What is the average rate of change of the Jayhawk population per year? And I was assuming this is a bird. 2003, comma, there was 340 Jayhawks. And then in 2007, there were 285 Jayhawks. The rate of change is the same thing as your slope, y sub 2 minus y sub 1 over x sub 2 minus x sub 1. Label your points. And your rate of change is equal to y sub 2, 285, minus y sub 1, 340, over x sub 2, 2007, minus x sub 1, 2003. 285 minus 340 is negative 55 over 4. Now, many of you left it like this, and I asked what the rate of change per year. This is per 4 years. I asked per year, which means you have to divide that. So negative 55 divided by 4 is negative 13.75. So the rate of change is negative 13.75 per year. Jayhawks per year. So it was decreasing by, and then you would have that. If you're interpreting it, I would have accepted just negative 13.75. Find the formula for a Jayhawk population. Well, what's the initial value we have? F of x, it's negative 13.75 x, and then what's the initial amount? We started off with 340. What does your model predict the Jayhawk population will be in 2025? Well, the 340 came from 2003. So 2025 minus 2003 is 22. So f of 22, negative 13.75 times 22 plus 340 is 37.5. Can't have half a Jayhawk, so there were, will be, was, pick a verb. There were 37 Jayhawks in 2025. Okay. What year will the Jayhawk population become extinct? 0 Jayhawks. Well, that's when your f of x is equal to 0. We have to find our x. Add 13.75 x to both sides. We get 13.75x is equal to 340. Divide both sides by 13.75. And I got 24. Doesn't matter the rest of it, all it matters is 24. The initial year was 2003 plus 24 is 2027. So in 2027, Jayhawks become extinct. So it's not 2028. 2027, I'm sorry, 24.7 means in the 24th year, 0.7 means it's partial of the year. Okay. Table below shows the number of community recreation centers in several counties, and the average weekly youth participation and hundreds of students in community programs. I didn't need you to calculate anything here. I've provided you the information from the calculator, the y equals ax plus b, what your a is, what your b is, and the correlation coefficient. How many students would be expected to participate weekly in a county with 5.8 rec centers? All right, let's start with that first. So I'm going to use y equals, it's 1.06 x plus 1.79. Now I've got my linear equation written, I can go from there. How many students would be expected to participate? Well, I need to know what each of these are. So the rec centers are x, so that's rec centers. And my y is the number of participants, average weekly participants or students. Once I know those two things, I can go through and do this. If there's 5.8 rec centers, I'm going to plug in 5.8 for x. So f of 5.8 is 1.06 times 5.8 plus 1.79. 1.06 times 5.8 plus 1.79. So there was 7.938. So what does this mean? They were wanting to know how many students. Well, you needed to, I put it in multiple places. I was trying to catch you, let you know, hundreds of students. I wrote it a couple of times. You have to multiply this times 100 to find out how many students. So that would be 793 students. 793 students would be expected to participate. And you could say weekly if you want to, it's your call. The next thing is this an example of interpolation or extrapolation? Well, we've got 5.8 for our rec centers. So let's just see if that's within it, because the answer should be as well. Yeah, it's within the domain, so it's interpolation. .8 is within the domain. You need to let me know what is within the domain. Don't say it is in the domain or the parameters are in the domain or I don't know what that means. You need to use from the example to explain why. A growing county plans to expand and eventually have 10 rec centers. How many weekly participations? Again, and I said in hundreds of students once the expansion is complete. So again, f of 10 this time, 1.06 times 10 plus 1.79. So 1.06 times 10 plus 1.79. 12.39. I've got to multiply that times 100 to get 1,239 students are expected to participate. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. Is this interpolation or extrapolation? Well, 10 rec centers, not within our domain. So this is extrapolation. 10 rec centers is outside our domain. That's it. Describe the relationship. So this was a bonus because I didn't give you points on this. I made it 2 points. All right, so if you got it, you got an extra 2 points on your grade. If you didn't get it, you didn't get the bonus. I didn't label it as bonus just because it's information you should use, and I forgot to put the points on there, honestly. Describe the relationship between the data and the line of best fit using the correlation coefficient. The correlation coefficient was 0.9. I couldn't get it any freaking closer to 1 for y'all than that, so that there was no question that this is a strong and positive relationship. Okay. All right, the next one. Given the general form, find the vertex. Well, we've got to put it in f of x. Well, I don't even need to do that right now. Right now, let's just find x. Our x value, which is our h, because the vertex is hk. And negative b over 2a. Make sure they're in order. Negative 8 over 2 times 2, which is our a. Negative 8 over 4, which is negative 2. Now we can find our k. K is f of negative 2. 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 10. This is 2 times 4 minus 16 minus 10. So 8 minus 16 minus 10 is negative 18. So our vertex was negative 2, negative 18. Rewrite the equation in standard vertex form. I didn't leave you a lot of space for this because I didn't think you'd need it. A is always the A of the general form. X minus h, your h is negative 2 squared minus 18. So this is going to be f of x, I'm just cleaning it up, 2x plus 2 squared minus 18. All right, find the axis of symmetry, which is x equals to h, and our h is negative 2. If you did not put x equals, I took a point off. I've gone over it too many times. You have to create it. It is a line. It's not just a number. It is a vertical line that goes through the vertex. Is there a min or a max value? Because our a is positive, there is a min, but there's a min of what at x equals what? And the explain is because a is positive. All right, the min is negative 18. We went over this a lot as well. At x equals negative 2. Find the x-intercepts. Well, I need the equation. I can use this equation because remember I told you, you probably don't want to use the one you've created. You can use this one instead. I'm going to do it both ways. 2x squared plus 8x minus 10 equals 0. Let's factor out a 2. If I divide 2 on both sides, the 2's gone. So I'm just going to factor x and x, 5 and 1, plus and minus. Check your OI. 5x, 1x, we're down to 4x. Fantastic. Set each of these equal to 0. Subtract 5 from both sides. X is equal to negative 5. Add 1 to both sides. X is equal to 1. Alright, the other way some people attempted to do was taking the 2x plus 2 squared minus 18 equal to 0. Okay, you have to take the 18 to the other side. Divide both sides by 2. You can't take the square root until you get everything by just the binomial squared on one side. So x plus 2 squared is equal to 9. Alright, take the square root of both sides. X plus 2 is equal to plus or minus 3. So x plus 2 is equal to 3, and x plus 2 is equal to negative 3. Alright, we're going to subtract 2 from both sides. We get x equal 1. We're going to subtract 2 from both sides. We get x is equal to negative 5. However you did it, you get the same answers. Find the y-intercept. That is where we let x equal 0. So f of 0 is 2 times 0 squared plus 8 times 0 minus 10. 0, 0, negative 10. So 0, negative 10 is our y-intercept. And then last, what's the domain of the range? It's quadratic, so the domain is always negative infinity to infinity. And the range is going to be from not negative 10. This is the y-intercept, not the vertex. From negative 18 to infinity. All right, find the vertex. Well, right there, which is negative 1, 2. Write the equation of the quadratic. All right, so f of x is equal to a, x minus h, so minus negative 1 squared plus 2 plus k. I'm just going to clean this up real quick. All right, now I need any other point to find my a, and I'm going to use my y-intercept of 0, negative 1. One squared is 1 times a is just a plus 2. Subtract 2 from both sides. A is equal to negative 3. So f of x, I need a space here, is negative 3, x plus 1 squared plus 2. Find the axis of symmetry. Well, again, that's just a vertical line that goes through the vertex. So x equals negative 1. Find the x-intercepts. Can't see that, so we're going to have to take our quadratic, take f of x, negative 3, x plus 1 squared plus 2, and set our y equal to 0. There was some crazy stuff that happened with this. Subtract, I'm just going to, how do we want to do this? Let's subtract 2 from both sides. Divide both sides by negative 3. All right, now we can take the square root of both sides. Plus or minus on the constant side. So this is plus or minus the square root of 2/3 is equal to x plus 1. Subtract 1 from both sides. And there are your zeros. Okay, what is the domain and range? Domain for quadratic, negative infinity to infinity. The range I thought would be easier because remember it starts with the bottom and it moves up to our max point of 2. Negative infinity is less than 2. It's to the left of 2. If you think of a number line with 2 and 0, if it's coming from this way, negative infinity is over here, positive infinity is over here. Many of you are struggling with knowing how to place these. It's always left to right thinking of a number line. If this confuses you, then think of it as a number line. Is negative infinity less than or greater than 2? Well, it's less than, so it needs to be to the left. Be careful with that. That was so 2 modules ago. SpaceX rocket is launched in the air. Its height in meters, I need to pay attention to that, above sea level as a function of time in minutes, is given by h of t is negative 16t squared plus 224t plus 816. How long does it take the rocket to reach its highest point? And I told you this is from your vertex, hk, this is your h. What is the highest point that the rocket reaches is your k. And then the last one I told you is how long does it take the rocket to hit the ground? Well, that's when the f of, or the h of t is equal to 0. So let's start with how long does it take the rocket to reach its highest point? H is equal to negative b over 2a. So negative 224 over 2 times negative 16. Negative 224 over negative 32. Well, it's going to give us positive, which is good. 224 over 32 is 7. So how long does it take? It takes 7 minutes to reach its highest point. The next one is what is the highest point the rocket reaches? And that is when we take 7 and substitute it in for our t, so h of 7, okay, equals negative 16 times 7 squared plus 224 times 7 plus 816, negative 16 times 49 plus 1568, and then negative 16 times 49 is negative 784. All right, let's add these all up. Plus 1568 plus 816 is 1600. So the highest point is 1600 meters. How long does it take the rocket to hit the ground? Well, we need to take the function and let it equal to 0 and find the zeros. Negative 16t squared plus 224t plus 816 is equal to 0. I am using the quadratic. I'm not doing anything else because that's just crazy. I could figure it out, but I don't know if I could or not. I'm just going to go with quadratic. So if you don't know it, it's x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of this over 2a. My b is 224, so it's actually t equals negative 224 plus or minus the square root of 224 squared minus 4 times a times c. All of this is over 2 times a. Alright, I'm going to simplify the inside of this real quick. T is equal to negative 224 plus or minus, and then all over negative 32. 224 squared equals negative and negative is positive, so plus 4 times 16 times 816 equals, this is 102,400, 102,400, and I just need to take the square root of that, 320. Alright, so now I'm going to break them up. Negative 224 plus 320 over negative 32, and negative 224 minus 320 over negative 32. So negative 224 plus 320 equals, divided by negative 32 is negative 3. Negative 224 minus 320 equals, divided by negative 32 is 17. Well, time can't be negative. So the question is, how long does it take the rocket to hit the ground? It takes 17 minutes for the rocket to hit the ground. Pardon me. All right. Oh, here's the snow. Oh, fantastic. What are the zeros and their multiplicities? So our zeros and then their multiplicities. So our zeros are -3, -2, and 4. -3 and -2 look like their multiplicities are 1, and at 4 looks like a 2. So thinking about this, looks like my degree is 4, at least. What is the least possible degree for the polynomial? I'm not just using this, I'm checking my max turns also. So my max turns are 1, 2, 3 turns. Solving for n, add 1 to both sides. It's at least 4. At least 4. Describe the n behavior. They are both heading south. So as x approaches negative infinity, f of x is approaching negative infinity. And as x approaches positive infinity, f of x approaches negative infinity as well. Find the equation of the polynomial. Feel free to leave in factored form. Fantastic. So f of x is equal to a. We're going to have to find that. We've got x is equal to -3, so that's going to be x plus 3. We've got x plus 2 and x minus 4, but that one is going to be squared. Now to find our a, I'm just going to use the y-intercept, 0, -3. 0 plus 3 is 3, 0 plus 2 is 2, 0 minus 4 is -4 squared. Let's do this. 3 times 2 is 6 times negative, that's positive 16. So 6 times 16, 96. Divide both sides by 96. A equals -1 over, I think that's 32. Yep, 32. So f of x for my function is -1 over 32, x plus 3, x plus 2, x minus 4 squared. What is the leading term? These are out of order. I warned y'all there would be one. I've done this before. X cubed minus 5x squared minus 6x. That's the order it should be in if we want it from highest exponent to lowest. So my leading term is always my highest exponent, x cubed. What is the coefficient? The coefficient is the number in front of x cubed, and that is just an assumed 1. What is the degree of the polynomial? It is the degree of the leading term, which is 3. What is the end behavior? Based on this, we're going to have, it's going to go up this way and down this way. So as x approaches negative infinity, f of x approaches negative infinity, and as x approaches positive infinity, f of x approaches positive infinity. All right, what are the max turning points? Max turning points are the degree minus 1. Our degree is 3, so the max turning points are 2. What is the y-intercept? The y-intercept is where we let x equal 0. So f of 0 is, I'm going to go with 0 cubed minus 5 times 0 squared minus 6 times 0 is 0. So the y-intercept is 0, 0. What are the zeros of the polynomial? I'm going to go back up here, and I'm going to pull what I've got here, x cubed minus 5x squared minus 6x, setting that equal to 0. They all have x in common, leaves me with x squared minus 5x minus 6. I'm going to factor x. 6 and 1 can give me 5, but so can 3 and 2. Let's try 3 and 2. I don't know which one's going to work here. So 3, they'd have to both be negative, and they can't be because I've got another negative. So it's going to have to be 6 and 1. Negative, positive. Set each of these terms equal to 0. X is equal to 0. X minus 6 equal to 0. And x plus 1 equal to 0. Add 6 to both sides. X is equal to 6. Subtract 1 from both sides. X is equal to -1. 1, 2, 3. We have a degree of 3, so that makes complete sense. Is x plus 4 a factor of this polynomial? Use synthetic division to solve. So I had to take this x plus 4, set it equal to 0, and get that it's negative 4. And then make sure they're in order, and they were. I didn't try to trick you there because I want you to learn this. Coefficients of each one. Bring down the first one. Multiply negative 4 times 1. Add these. Multiply 14 times 4 is 56. Plus 9 is 65. Times negative 4 is negative 260. And this was my goal, for you to have a 0 for your factoring so that we can use it on the next problem. So the question is a factor? The question needs to be answered yes. X plus 4 is a factor. Let's go to the next page. Last page. Woot woot. Oh, I ran out of space. I must have used this for something else. Sorry about that. Find the zeros of this. Well, we know that negative 4 is 1. We know negative 4 is a 0. But we need to find 2 more. Okay? So whenever I synthetically divided this, I got 1, negative 14, and 65. 1, negative 14, and 65. Well, because the highest exponent is 3, this becomes x squared, x, and then the constant. And we can just set this equal to 0. I don't know if it's going to factor this way, but let's try. 65 divided by 5. 13. Well, 13 and 5 is not going to give me 14, so nope, can't do that. I'm going to have to use quadratic. Negative b, so x is equal to negative b, 14 plus or minus the square root of b squared, minus 4 times a times c, all of that over 2 times a. 14 plus or minus the square root of 196 minus 65 times 4 is 260. Should have remembered that. Oh well. X is 14 plus or minus 196 minus 260. It's negative 64. Square root of 64 is 8. Square root of negative 1 is I, so 8i. Now, instead of putting this all over 2, I've informed you to do this instead. Mistakes happen when you leave it with the whole thing over 2. If you do it like this, there's fewer mistakes that happen. 14 divided by 2 is 7, plus or minus. 8 divided by 2 is 4i. There are your other 2 x's. So these two and this one. That's it. Let me know what questions you have. Happy to help.